All right. Good morning, everyone, or it might be good evening, depending where you are. So we have a great interview today with Marsha Schultz, and she is going to share her story, her autoimmune journey from, sickness to health. And so I'm going to kick off. Marsha, would you like to share a little bit about yourself and just about your journey?
Sure, Katie. Thank you for inviting me on the call. Well, I was first diagnosed with fibromyalgia in about 2015, I think. And up until this point, I had many symptoms, including depression and anxiety and these really weird panic attacks. I had chronic fatigue. I had some minor food allergies, and I kept going back to the doctor and asking for help. I really wanted to heal. By the end of 2016, I was a lot worse. I was very shaky. I was walking into walls. The chronic fatigue was just off the charts. I had to quit my job. I was a sign language interpreter, so that was really hard. And I was on a government pension, but I still continued to work part-time because I wanted to work. I wanted my health back. So when she offered me the medical retirement, I said, no, that's not what I want. I did a little bit of research myself about fibromyalgia, and autoimmune never came up, so I didn't suspect that it was autoimmune, and I didn't really know anything about autoimmune anyway. So I kept going back and forth to my naturopath, and I was having lots of alternative therapies like acupuncture and musculoskeletal therapy. I had got so many. There's probably about 15 different type of therapists that I had, including massage, and I even had psychotherapy. I was seeing a counsellor because I was thinking, this could be just stress related. It could be to do with past issues that I need to deal with and get over. And look, a lot of that did help to some degree. But slowly my symptoms became worse. I had headaches every day. I started developing inflammation, like systemic inflammation. So my whole body was really aching, especially my back, neck and shoulders. Mm-hmm. Then I started experiencing some really scary symptoms, including really blurry vision, and I had bladder incontinence, and I was like 44. So I thought something's wrong. So I went back to the same doctor, kill me, but so I just didn't know where else to go. Even my naturopath had suggested a few things to me that, I guess looking back, I think I probably didn't really give it long enough, because I thought as if this jar of pills is going to fix all these symptoms.
Right.
I didn't really understand what was happening to me. And so, now I definitely know exactly what happened to me since, I've been on a journey to discovering exactly what autoimmune is.
Well, and so, Marsha, you mentioned the word medical retirement. What does that mean for people who are listening?
Basically, it means that you no longer have to work and that you can apply for a disability pension.
All right.
There's no way that I was going to do that because I can't survive on that.
No. And so leading up to your sickness, did it just happen overnight? I mean, what kind of preceded that? Were you kind of well and doing really well, and then all of a sudden your health started to deteriorate and it went downhill fast, or was it progressive over a long period of time? What sort of happened there?
It was definitely progressive because, look, I'd had hay fever, really, really seriously chronic hay fever from the time that I was about probably mid-teens, and I was taking antihistamine every single day, probably at least 2, sometimes 3. So, that really obviously affected my ability to concentrate because I was always so tired. And I think really that was probably the start, but I also have had a lot of stress in my life, and we won't go into that today, but
sure.
Look, I think the stress really contributed as well to my immune systems, shutting down and my gut health deteriorating too, because, where do we hold our stress? It's in our gut, isn't it? So,
definitely.
Especially in the solar plexus area, which is just below the ribs, which is where the stomach ends and the small intestines begin. So, But, you know, it's also what I found through my research is that, you know, we live in a very toxic world, and we already know all this. It's all over the internet. You know, there's so many chemicals in our food source, in our water and everything. And there's so many pharmaceutical drugs that we're taking that, you know, our systems are going to break down, because drugs are really not the answer to health. They're not a preventative. They basically just cover over the symptoms. So, you know, what are the reasons that you're having those symptoms in the first place? That's what I'm all about, and that's what started my journey to, you know, to looking into autoimmune. So, look, to answer your question, I think it's been about 7 years. It was around about the age of 39. I'm just turned 46 this year. When I was 39, I started to experience extremely, really, really bad neck pain, to the point where my neck would be completely locked up when I would wake up in the morning. So, and it would take 5 or 10 minutes for me to straighten my head. So if I'd fallen asleep on my back and my head rolled to the side, I was locked in that position. So, you know, and going to the doctor, they just gave me pain medication. They didn't really explain what was happening to me, and that was the most frustrating part. So from there, my memory started going. I wasn't really able to hold conversations with people, because I'd forget what I was talking about or where I was headed with the conversation. I'd definitely forget people's names. It was very, very embarrassing. I tried to hide it, but then there came a point where I really couldn't hide it anymore. My relationship broke down. I'd been in a relationship for 5 years, and I just wasn't, I didn't have the energy anymore that I used to have. I didn't want to go out because the lights and the noise would really affect me. So I just wanted to be at home. And I just realized, look, this is really not what my life, what I want my life to look like. I had a lot of goals in life, you know, to travel and to make some money and to help other people. And I didn't know at that time how that was going to all unfold, but I wanted to buy a house, and I've got a daughter as well. So, you know, I guess that 7-year journey that slowly progressed to the point where I was offered the medical retirement, and I was very close to a wheelchair because I was unable to walk for it, you know, long distance. That's when I really just went, right, it's time for me to really start asking some questions. So then a friend of mine introduced me to a product that's a stem cell regeneration product, which is like a cellular detox. And look, I tried everything else, and I thought, okay, why not? It sounds really good. I'll give it a go. And within 4 weeks, I noticed a massive difference. I was able to, well, the cognitive function came back, my memory came back. I started to feel like I was awake for the first time in many years. I didn't realize just quite how unwell I'd become until I started to get better. So the brain fog completely went away. A lot of the pain, the systemic pain, went away. And I just felt so happy. I'd have to say that within 8 weeks, I felt so incredibly happy that I wanted to go off my antidepressants. I didn't yet, but at that time, because, you know, I just thought I'll just take it slow. But I felt like I didn't need them anymore. So I was so happy. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's basically how that all unfolded.
Did you, would you say that your life now and how you avoid, you know, potentially harmful ingredients in your diet, how is that now compared to what it was, you know, before you've discovered all of this? Is there a big contrast?
There's a massive contrast, Katie. I've been personally researching health and wellness and supplementation for 16 years now. And, it actually surprised me that what I knew about, you know, gut health didn't come to the forefront of my mind. But, you know, I had to remember that I was really, really unwell. And I really used all of my, my energy to just focus and get through each day. So all of the things that I had learned weren't really available to me, I guess. So I did a lot of things. I checked all of my products at home. I was very aware of, you know, what I was eating. I bought a $400 water filtration system to help, you know, so that I was having clean water without fluoride, especially. I did a lot of things to help to keep me very, very healthy. And on a cellular level as well, that was really important to me after I started learning about the stem cell regeneration product, it really opened my eyes to, wow, my cells are clogged. They have degeneration and decay. So I experienced a little bit of a Niacin flush when I started taking the product, but I was actually really happy about that because I could see that my system was actually having a really good clean out. So besides that product, I also tried another one from the same company, and it was a seaweed supplement. And look, it's so incredibly powerful that it stops blood flow to tumours. So when I heard about that, I thought, wow, I need to give this a go. And as I researched a little bit more about the product, I realised that the formulator of the product, who's a scientist and biochemist in the US, won a Genius Award for creating and like designing and manufacturing a machine that extracts the world's most concentrated formula. No one's been able to match it. So I thought, wow, I really want to give this a go. And I found that it was really beneficial for inflammation. So it really rapidly improved my inflammation. And in fact, when I bought my first bottle, I took too much. I think I like double or triple dose, and I finished it within about 2 weeks. So it's supposed to last about 4 or 5 weeks. But for the first time in 7 years, I felt like there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. So you could just imagine my relief.
Is that because it drops the inflammation in the body?
Absolutely, yes, yeah. So that brings me to food allergies. So not just food allergies, but the way that our immune system works. So when the body is flooded with toxins, and whether that's from our food source, water, pharmaceutical drugs, prescription drugs, whatever, it's from the air that we breathe. There's so many ways that we are struck down by toxins these days. We have to be very careful. We do really need to look at cleansing our body every day and taking a product which is one that I take actually that is like I'm trying to think of the word of it now, that helps to clean out our cells. So it's like a detox, like a cellular detox, but in liquid mineral. Mm-hmm. So it's I forgot my train of thought. Okay, so autoimmune, the immune system, the way that it responds is by assisting the body to clean out these toxins. Now the problem is that when we have leaky gut, so that's where my experience is in gut health. So when we have leaky gut, what happens is the lining of the gut becomes very perforated and inflamed and porous. So when we, when our liver isn't really functioning properly either at the same time due to stress and an overload of toxins, because the liver's job is to clean the blood, it continues to send some of these toxins back down through the digestive tract because it has to get rid of them some way. So when we have leaky gut, these toxins end up into our bloodstream through the perforated gut lining. So I knew that I had a lot of healing to do with that aspect. I looked into some products that I wanted to use to heal the gut lining, which I absolutely love. It's like $70 a bottle. You can just buy it online. It's works a miracle. And I remember when I first bought the bottle, I thought as if this is going to help. It was like a watery liquid mineral that looked a little bit like weak herbal tea. But it was very, very, very powerful. And together with that, I also took some really powerful probiotics with prebiotic cultures. So I knew what to do, and I went on my journey to heal my gut, which I then found had a real impact on the food that I was then able to eat again. So I am still on this healing gut protocol now because I was so incredibly unwell for so long. It is going to take a long time for me to heal. And it can take up to 12 to 24 months. I'm in my 5th month now, I think. And it's made a massive difference. So with the stem cell regeneration product, the seaweed supplement, the gut healing supplement, and also the probiotics with the prebiotic cultures, I am a lot better. The immune system, when it tries to fight off the toxins that, you know, from our food. Like I said, the drugs that we're taking, the pharmaceutical drugs, toxins in the air, on our food, especially pesticides and things like that. The immune system can also lose a lot of its strength, because the immune system is actually created in the gut. And not many people know that. So, you know, you can be taking immune system boosting products for the rest of your life if you're not dealing with the underlying product. So it really does work a very similar way as you know, taking pharmaceutical drugs. You're dealing with the symptoms, but not healing the problem. Well, it works the same with pharmaceutical with health products. So you need to know where to start, and I help people now with healing autoimmune symptoms. So autoimmune comes from autoimmune. The immune system automatically goes in to clean out our system by, you know, creating a film around our cells with water. And also it actually fills our cells with water. Now, it gets that water from the gut, which is why many people who have autoimmune symptoms have constipation and gut issues, IBS issues. And that's systemic, because obviously the immune system is fighting, you know, these toxins that are floating around in our blood. So yeah, the systemic inflammation, which means in our blood, it's throughout your whole body. This is why I was feeling a lot of pain. Now, eventually I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis earlier this year, even after I started taking the stem cell regeneration product, because it's actually an illness that takes a long time to develop. So I believe that I was incorrectly diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is why I never looked at the autoimmune side of things, because fibromyalgia isn't regarded as an autoimmune disease. In my opinion, and many other medical and health professionals, it definitely is. But then I started looking at, of course, you know, the autoimmune and how that all works. And that's really what started my journey to helping others and teaching others about, you know, what is systemic inflammation and what is MS. Well, MS starts when the immune system starts to attack itself. We know that. That's what autoimmune is. Basically, they say that, you know, that the body starts to attack itself. But really what the immune system is trying to do is trying to do its job. It's trying to clean our cells. It's trying to, you know, get rid of the dirty cells, the dirt around our cells. It's trying to get rid of the food particles that's gone in through our bloodstream, as well as the undigested food particles, but as well as gut bacteria, heavy metals, parasites, everything that's in our gut that goes into our bloodstream. So the immune system has a massive job of cleaning our cells. And it actually, what it does by accident is attack our healthy cells as well, especially also the nerve cells, because remember, it's systemic, it's clean, it's trying to clean up all of our cells. But in doing so, you know, it's actually attacking the myelin sheath around the nerve cells, which is, you know, it exposes the nerves and causes neurological conditions and symptoms. So that's yeah, that's basically what I've done, you know, learned, I guess, to heal my autoimmune. So boosting my my immune system with the seaweed supplement has been absolutely incredible. It's been life-changing. I've got my life back.
Wow, that's incredible. And so, Marsha, I don't know if you mentioned briefly, you just touched on it before, that there's certain foods that people should avoid too that can cause problems if they're in this kind of state of health. And do you want to talk a little bit about some of that?
Sure. I at some point I contacted my naturopath and had a chat to him about how I found that I was had allergic reactions to sulfites and sulfates, and I you know, did a little bit more research about that and found that sulfites and sulfates are actually in a lot of our foods, they're preservatives. So I learned to avoid preservative numbers 220 to 229. So if you see them on the back of a bottle, if you're really, really unwell, I would avoid them.
They're used a lot in, I think they're used a lot in red wine. My aunt, when she drinks red wine, she just starts sneezing continuously. I think it's because of that. Yeah.
And you know what, Katie, that's interesting that you say that, because that's really where my research into that started, because I used to be able to drink wine quite well. And then suddenly I started to feel quite nauseous and very extremely hungover just after one glass the next day. And I stopped drinking the wine, and you know, I didn't obviously have those symptoms anymore. But then at some point later on, I did start having those symptoms again, but I wasn't drinking wine, and I thought, gee, that's interesting. So I looked at the back of the bottle, I looked at preservatives, I looked at the numbers, and that's really how my research started there with regards to avoiding sulfites and sulfates. And my naturopath said, look, that's a gut health issue. It's liver related. And I also found out actually that onion and garlic are naturally occurring sulfite foods. And I was eating a lot of that. I believe that they're very healthy, and they are, but not if you've got leaky gut, because they form part of what we call the thiol food list. So thiol foods activate heavy metals in your system, and they're supposed to do that. It's great. It's part of the whole, you know, living and eating process and detoxification and staying healthy. But it's not good if you've got leaky gut, because those heavy metals, they're being drawn out by these foods that we're eating, but then the heavy metals end up in our bloodstream, and that's why I was so sick. That's why I was hardly able to walk. And when I did, I would shake, and I'd have to lie down for 3 hours. So it really caused a lot of chronic fatigue, because you can imagine it's like having constant anxiety. It wasn't that, but it is like having constant anxiety where you're shaking in just 24/7. You're trembling and you're shaking, and then of course if you go and walk for half an hour, you just collapse, right? Because your body can't handle it. So it really affected my brain, you know, those heavy metals in my brain. So thiol foods, look, there's a lot of foods on the internet, so be careful, because you could get very confused. They're very, they contradict each other. The list that I received from my naturopath was very informative, and it came with an article that explained why I should avoid those foods. And within a day or two, I was completely free of those food allergy symptoms. Wow. So, however, it's a very, very, very strict elimination diet, and it's not forever. I had to cut out a lot of very healthy vegetables like cauliflower and broccoli and kale and spinach, and the list has about 40 things on it. So, and they were the things that I was eating almost every day, because I'm very healthy, and I was also buying organic foods. So I just realized that, look, where I have to start is by healing my gut. I have to heal my gut, and then I'll be able to eat those foods again. And that is exactly what's happening. So, but the other thing that's very interesting, Katie, is that the list of thiol foods, which has about 40 foods on it, actually also incorporates a lot of lectin foods. Now, lectins are a plant's natural protein that kill the bugs that try to eat it, which is great. It's also supposed to work that way, because, you know, we have bugs in our system. We have parasites. They make part of our ecosystem. It's supposed to work like that. But if you have an unhealthy gut, if you have an inflamed gut with excess mucus, and you don't have the right microbiome, the right flora, the right, you know, balance of good and bad bacteria, then they start to breed. The parasites start to breed and multiply, and they dig themselves into the gut lining. That's where they live. That's where they burrow. So if we're eating foods with lectins, then of course the parasites eat what we eat. They munch on what we eat. So they start to feel the effects of being killed off by these lectins. And what happens when they eat our food is they inject poison into our gut lining, because you know that's their fight for survival. That's what they do. And of course, we are then dealing with that poison as well. That goes into our bloodstream, so that causes a lot of neurological issues as well. So I'm not saying to go out and do a parasite cleanse. That's the worst and worst thing that you could do, because of course they're all going to start injecting poison. So the best way, in my opinion, is to heal the gut first with these super symbiotics that I recommend, and the other products that I've mentioned, and to reduce that inflammation. Stop eating foods that are inflammatory, like sugar. Oh my goodness, sugar. If you can go off sugar, that's going to make a big difference, because the parasites love sugar. as well, and cause a lot of inflammation in our gut. So I am still on the elimination diet. It's been probably only about 2 or 3 months. So I would suggest people do it for at least maybe 4 to 6 months. It means you won't be able to go out for dinner. It means you have to be very selective with what you eat for breakfast if you go out, or for lunch you could probably have some avocado on toast, so I'm avoiding going out for lunches and dinners. I eat before I go and then meet the family at the restaurant and have a drink.
Right.
But that's just, that's what I've chosen to do, because health is more important to me than dealing with the side effects of eating these foods that are not good for me right now until my gut's healed.
It's amazing also what you said, because I was doing some reading last night on leaky gut and it was saying that when your gut is not healthy and you've got this issue of like the gut integrity has been compromised, that the foods that should be healthy for you and you should be able to eat, you actually can't tolerate. And so it's a matter of kind of identifying those, and then, as you said, working on your gut, getting that flora balance, the good and bacteria balance back into balance, and then help to heal it, so that then slowly over time you can start bringing those foods back in, and that foods in the past that maybe did irritate you now will no longer irritate you. So
you're exactly right. That's
really,
exactly true. And it kind of irritates me and saddens me that they're, when I come across posts on Facebook or articles online that talk about, okay, so if you want to avoid the symptoms of arthritis, avoid these foods, because that's not a long-term solution. The long-term solution to fixing and healing your arthritis is to heal your gut, because arthritis is basically just inflammation that's found its way to certain parts of your body. And that can be healed. You can heal your arthritis. You can heal depression. Hormones are created in the gut, and serotonin is created in the gut lining, where the parasites live. So why are so many people on antidepressants all of a sudden? It's because we're not eating a good, healthy diet. We're not washing our vegetables in cleansing concoctions that helps get rid of the parasites and the toxins that are sprayed on our food. So we really have to be very careful these days about what we're putting in our body, and supplementing for life with our Spectromax. What's in this? Our Spectromax is excellent for that. Fulvic acid. Yeah. So there's lots of things that you can do to heal your gut. And look, as I've learned for 16 years ago, I learned about gut health and that everything starts in the gut. And now that I've actually lived that process where I've been really, really unwell, no doctor could help me, no diet could help me. The only thing I could do was to heal my gut. And once I did that, I became well. So I'd be happy for you to reach out and get in touch with me, and I can steer you in the right direction, give you some ideas about, how to go, where to start, because there is a specific protocol with what to start with. And then after about 3-4 months, there is a maintenance program as well that I highly recommend too.
Okay, great. And so if people want to get in touch with you, Marsha, do you want to give them your details you've got there?
Yeah, sure. You can go to marshashultz.com. That's MARSHA, and Schultz is spelled SCHULTS. So marshashultz.com. And you can click on any links there that will take you to an email that explains anything about autoimmune or leaky gut, or some of the products that I've recommended. And I also have a great Facebook page where I share a lot of my information. It's called Healing Autoimmune Naturally. You'd be welcome to get in touch with me via that source as well.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for being on the webinar today. It was a great interview, and I'm sure people have really enjoyed it, as I have.
Thank you so much, Katie. My pleasure.
All right. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.